What's going on, guys? This is Sam, and today I want to talk about whether or not the iPhone 8 is still a good phone. Should you still be considering it 6 or 7 months later? For good comparison, if you want to watch my initial iPhone 8 review, I will leave that linked up at the top right-hand corner of the screen. I gave this phone a really great review, but it was ahead of the iPhone 10. I said a lot in that review that I think I would personally be more excited for the iPhone 10, but that I thought the iPhone 8 definitely had a place in Apple's lineup for anybody that didn't want Face ID, that still wanted a home button, and anyone that didn't want to spend $1,000 on a phone. I made a video like this on the iPhone 10 around a month ago now, and a lot of you seem to really enjoy it, so I want to do the same for the iPhone 8. The screen, the camera, the processor, battery life, everything else about the iPhone 8. Are my thoughts the same as they were in my initial review, or are they a little bit different? I want to start by talking about the design of the iPhone 8. I was a big fan of it back in September when my initial review came out, and I'm still a really big fan of it now. I'm so glad that Apple went with a glass design rather than a steel or aluminum design. I just think the glass looks really great, and rather than stainless steel around the edges, you have aluminum. This is also the product red version. This is my favorite color of the iPhone 8 out of space gray, silver, gold, and product red. I really like the new red color option because you get red on the back and black bezels on the front, and I think that combo is incredible. It's a pretty similar look to the iPhone 10, almost identical, but of course the shape of the iPhone 10 is a little bit different, but how it feels in the hand is still really great. If you have smaller hands and you want a phone that's not as large as the iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone 10, but not as small as the iPhone SE, this is probably the perfect option for you. Another thing I mentioned in my initial review is that I thought the iPhone 8 felt like a piece of jewelry. It felt more premium just because I hadn't held an all-glass iPhone since the iPhone 4S, and I still think that holds up. While I'm not consciously thinking about it every single day when I pick it up in the morning, I don't think of it as a piece of jewelry, but it definitely feels like a $700 phone. Next up, I want to talk about the screen on the iPhone 8. My thoughts on this part of the phone have absolutely changed since my initial review came out because I had only seen really LCD on an iPhone up until that point. But when I started using the iPhone 10, I realized that I like the look of an OLED panel better because the black levels are unparalleled, and there's something that LCD screens in general just cannot reproduce well. When you have an OLED panel like the one found on the iPhone 10, you have the ability to individually disable or turn off pixels entirely, so you get a legitimately true black color, and it looks absolutely incredible, absolutely phenomenal. That is one of the biggest draws for OLED in the first place. Overall, I like the colors, I like the vibrance of the iPhone 10 display as an OLED better than I like the LCD screen on the iPhone 8. That being said, you have to consider with a number of the features on the iPhone 10 that you're paying around $300 more for that device. So if you're looking for the absolute best viewing experience on an iPhone, you should be looking at the iPhone 10. You'll have to spend that extra money to get there, but I think you'll appreciate the OLED display. If you just want a really good screen and you think the screen on the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6S is really good, then you're absolutely going to be happy with the screen on the iPhone 8. There's also a really cool feature on the iPhone 8 screen that is also found on the iPhone 10 called True Tone, where it adjusts the color temperature of the display based on the environment you're in. So if I'm in a room like this with cooler lighting, it's going to appear a little bit more blue. If I'm in a warmer environment with really orange or red lighting, it's going to appear a little bit more warm. It functions similar to a piece of paper. That's a feature that I've continually enjoyed. It's on the iPhone 8, it's on the iPhone 10, and I still like it months later. So I like the screen on the iPhone 8 a lot. I just prefer the iPhone 10's display when I have the option. And another big part of viewing anything on the screen is what you're hearing alongside that media. When you're watching YouTube videos, Hulu, Netflix, or when you're watching a music video, or just listening to music in general. Apple improved the speakers on the iPhone 8, and I think overall the speakers on the iPhone 10 are a little bit better, but the speakers on here are absolutely better and noticeably better in my experience than on the iPhone 7. In addition to looking really great, one of the biggest features of the glass design on the iPhone 8 is the fact that you get wireless charging, and I saw so many people lose their minds when this was first announced. To this day, I think I've put my iPhone on a wireless charger one time, and it was in my friend's dorm room because I wanted to try it out, and it absolutely works. I can't tell you how cool it is to not have to plug in anything, to just set your iPhone on a wireless charger and have it start charging. And it was definitely cool, but I have not had any interest in purchasing a wireless charging mat or pad yet. I'm interested to see what Apple's AirPower retails for. This is the product that they announced back in September of 2017 along the new Apple Watch, the iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and iPhone 10, and a product that has still not apparently been approved by the FCC to come to market, at least in the United States. Apple is really waiting on releasing this product. We don't know when it's going to come out, but I think I'll be interested in wireless charging when that product is released Right now, I'm just sort of in between. I see the benefits of wireless charging. I see how cool it is. It works really well on the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10, but at the same time, it's not a necessity for me or part of my daily usage. In my initial review, I said the battery life on the iPhone 8 was the best that I had ever gotten on an iPhone, and that is still mostly true. However, I definitely noticed after switching back from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 8 that the battery life in general on the regularly sized 4.7-inch iPhone 8 is not as good as the iPhone 10, or even as good, of course, as the iPhone 8 Plus. The battery life on here is still really great, but I have noticed that going from the iPhone 10 to the iPhone 8, I have to put this on the charger before the end of the day more often than I've ever had to put the iPhone 10 on the charger before the end of the day. And that's just because the battery on the inside is physically smaller than what's on the iPhone 10, and that's all right depending on your usage. If you don't need the best battery life on an iPhone and you think the battery life on the iPhone 7 is just a little bit short of what you need, you'll probably be really happy with the iPhone 8. But for the best battery life on an iPhone, I would recommend the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8 Plus. I think the battery on the inside of the iPhone 8 has degraded a little bit, and it's just not as good as it was a few months ago. Just like battery life is a really important part of any smartphone that you're going to be buying in 2018, I would argue that cameras are equally as important. So I want to talk about that on the iPhone 8. Are the photos and videos just as good now? Do I think they're just as good now as they were when I first reviewed the phone back in September? And I would say absolutely yes, they are. The iPhone 8 and the iPhone 10, because they have pretty much identical camera systems, minus the iPhone 8 not having a second telephoto lens, they look really good. You get 12 megapixel stills, and you can record 4K video at up to 60 frames per second. I really like the photos that I take on the iPhone 8. They are very similar to photos I've captured on the iPhone 10, arguably almost identical, just because the camera systems inside are arguably almost identical. I just really like the photos that I get out of this phone. They are crisp, they are clean, they have some deeper colors than you get on a Samsung Galaxy S9, I think, and a Google Pixel 2, but that's what I like a lot. And for me, the stills on the iPhone 8 are perfect. I also love the video that you get on the iPhone 8. There was a time when my normal camera, the one I'm recording on right now, the Lumix GH5, ran out of battery. I didn't have a charger. It was a super long story, and I had to make a video on a new iOS 11.3 beta that was released. And I used my iPhone 8 at 4K 60 frames per second. I recorded this video that you're watching right now, and nobody noticed that I had switched from that other camera to the iPhone 8. In fact, I got a lot of comments saying, wow, this looks really good and really smooth. And I think that's just a testament to the quality of the iPhone 8's camera. To me, as someone who does video pretty much every single day, I know that the quality overall on the iPhone 8 is not as good as my $2,000 camera that I'm recording on right now. But for a camera that's always in your pocket, it continually impresses me. It looks incredible, and if you want to shoot a lot of video with your iPhone, the iPhone 8 absolutely looks better than the iPhone 7, and it looks about the same as the iPhone 10. The overall image quality is pretty much the same across the iPhone 8, the iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone 10, but with the iPhone 8 Plus and the iPhone 10, you have one major advantage, and that is a second lens. Going back to the iPhone 8 from the iPhone 10, I absolutely missed that second lens. I didn't realize how important portrait mode was to me and how much I enjoyed zooming optically during a video, or taking a photo and being able to use optical zoom rather than using digital zoom, which more or less just blows up an image and makes it look a little bit distorted and blurry. If you want to have the most versatility while shooting, you should be looking at the iPhone 8 Plus or the iPhone 10, because you get two lenses there, and I've really come to appreciate having a second additional lens in addition to the single primary lens. Or you could just save a couple $100 and use one lens on the iPhone 8. Unless you really care about image quality, it's not that big of a deal. There's one more big feature that I want to talk about before wrapping up this video, and that is the processor on the inside of the iPhone 8. It is the A11 Bionic chip, and to this day, and to my knowledge, it is the fastest processor ever put inside a smartphone. Back in September, I ran a Geekbench test to see how fast the processor inside the iPhone 8 was, and it was kind of mind-blowing, kind of mind-numbing. I got almost 10,000 points as the multi-core score, and it turns out I ran another Geekbench test now that iOS 11.3 is out. Guess what the score is? It is around 250 points higher, between 200 and 300 points higher. My new multi-core score is 10,206, with the single-core score at 4,247. I ran another Geekbench on the iPhone 10 to see if they were about the same, and they were. The iPhone 10 and all the tests that I've run historically is generally a few points higher on both the single-core and multi-core score than on the iPhone 8, and I don't know exactly why, but the processor inside the iPhone 10 tends to be a little bit faster than on the iPhone 8, even though it's the same one. That being said, you're not going to notice those few points of difference every single day. What you are going to notice with the A11 Bionic chip is how it's just the best processor processor that you've ever used. So all things considered, in April of 2018, is the iPhone 8 still good? My answer to that is absolutely yes. This phone is still incredible. While the battery life has gotten a little bit worse, while I don't like the screen as much as I did in the past now that I've been exposed to an OLED display like the one on the iPhone 10, if I had the iPhone 8 or the iPhone 10 to choose from and money was not a question, every single time I would choose the iPhone 10. I like the design of that phone better. I like the dual camera setup better than the single camera setup on the iPhone 8. I like the screen better. I like Face ID. I enjoy not having a home button. I love the gesture-based swipe system on the iPhone 10. But if you still want a home button, if you're not ready for Face ID, if you don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone, save $300 and spend around $699 on the base model of the iPhone 8, I don't think there's any chance that you'll be disappointed. Right now, we're almost right in the middle of the iPhone upgrade cycle. Generally, new phones come out every September. That is likely going to be a reality in 2018 as well. So if you want a new iPhone, you could buy one right now and you'll have 6 good months of that being the newest model on the market. But that also means that Apple's newest lineup is coming out in about 5 or 6 months. It's going to be the iPhone 10 version 2, the iPhone 10 Plus, and a new, cheaper 6.1-inch LCD iPhone with the same features like Face ID and a bezel-less design of the iPhone 10, but for around the same price as the iPhone 8. We don't know any of that for sure. It's all based on leaks and rumors right now. If you want a really good phone now, buy the iPhone 8. If you want a really good phone in a few months, buy that cheaper 6.1-inch LCD iPhone where you get some features of the iPhone 10, but not for $1,000. If I were in your situation and I had an iPhone 6s or an iPhone 7, I would hold on to that phone for 5 or 6 more months until September or October when the new iPhone lineup is released. I'm really excited to see what Apple has up their sleeve this year. That being said, if your iPhone isn't working properly, if it's really old like an iPhone 6, 5s, or something like an iPhone 5 or older, yeah, it's probably time to upgrade. Go with the iPhone 8 if you want the cheaper model, or the iPhone 10 for the best overall experience right now. Anyway, that's going to wrap up this video. If you enjoyed watching, it does help me out if you drop a like down below. And of course, hit subscribe for more videos like this in the future. If you want to help support the channel, you can head over to shop.iupdateos.com, buy a t-shirt like the one I'm wearing right now. That would be incredible. For now, I've been Sam. I hope all of you are doing great, and I will talk to you in my next video.